Greetings to all Criminal Russia podcast listeners. My name is Alex, and you're tuned in to Portrait of a Nightmare. In this series, we delve into some of the darkest corners of human conduct, presenting a comprehensive exploration of individuals who shifted from regular citizens to infamous figures, remembered for their gruesome actions. Our subject for today is no exception. We will be discussing Alexander Pichushkin, also known as the Chessboard Killer, a prolific Russian serial killer. We will be dealing with themes of violence and crime, discussed with the utmost gravity and sensitivity. Let's begin, shall we? Alexander Pichushkin's early life was seemingly ordinary. Born on April 9, 1974, in Mytishchi, a suburb of Moscow, he was a seemingly regular child. However, an unexceptional beginning didn't curtail the emergence of a monster. Let's delve into this transformation. As Alexander Pichushkin entered his teenage years, his true nature began to unravel. Although he excelled in chess and was considered above average in his studies, his dark side was burgeoning into malevolent tendencies. His fascination with violence peaked, and he would often exhibit cold-blooded behavior towards animals and humans alike. Little did society know that this seemingly ordinary boy would evolve into the infamous Chessboard Killer, carrying out his egregious deeds with meticulous calculation. The catalyst for Pichushkin's malevolence is often attributed to the loss of his grandfather at a young age. This was a turning point in Pichushkin's life, as the once cherished confidant was replaced by an insatiable thirst for vengeance. He developed an antipathy towards humanity, and his moral compass gradually deviated from any vestige of empathy and compassion. Instead, Alexander Pichushkin became wholly consumed by his murderous desires, a harbinger of the impending carnage that would plague the streets of Moscow. This descent into darkness is a chilling reminder of the potential dangers lurking beneath the surface of human nature. Alexander Pichushkin's story serves as a cautionary tale, illustrating the catastrophic consequences of seemingly ordinary beginnings giving way to an unfathomable abyss of malevolence. Often referred to as the Chessboard Killer, Pichushkin's journey through the shadows was not just a plunge into the depths of his own depraved impulses, but also a stark portrayal of how personal voids can be filled with the darkest of intents. His grim legacy echoes the age-old narrative of individuals who, swayed by their inner demons, not only rupture the fabric of their own lives, but also that of their unsuspecting victims. His was a path marked by the gradual erosion of humanity, a testament to the harrowing truth that the line between man and monster can be perilously thin. Pichushkin became known as the Chessboard Killer due to his twisted ambition to claim as many victims as there are squares on a chessboard. This distorted goal, tethered to his love for the game of chess, marked his gruesome journey. Alexander Pichushkin didn't commit his atrocities in the shadows. Bitsa Park, one of Moscow's largest public spaces, served as his haunt. It was here where he met many of his victims, drawn to their vulnerable states. His actions fascinated and horrified the public in equal measure. Filled with hubris and a chilling disregard for human life, Pichushkin lured his prey with kind words and a friendly demeanor. However, their fates were sealed the moment they crossed his path. What followed was a grim dance of predation, his victims never suspecting their looming demise. Engulfed in the macabre aura of his existence, Pichushkin expertly manipulated his quarry, spinning a web of deceit and trust. His affable facade belied the nightmarish reality that was quickly closing upon them. Regardless of protestations or pleas, he remained nonchalant, the echo of their panicked voices hardly affecting his cold blood. His choices held an awful allure, an enigmatic pull that continued to confound and terrify the society that watched. It was the delicate balance of fear and intrigue that kept them riveted, unable to avert their gaze from the grotesque spectacle. The fact that Pichushkin, with his calm approach and seemingly normal countenance, could be capable of such atrocities sent shivers down their collective spine. Even as they recoiled in dread, their attention was firmly held by the morbid curiosity about the next act in this dreadful saga. The very thought that any unsuspecting individual could be the next dancer on his somber stage left them quaking with an appalling combination of terror and anticipation. Despite their repulsion, the masses were held captive by his grotesque narrative. The conviction of their safety was replaced by a constant paranoia that savored the taste of his horrific charade. Move by move, with each victim drawn into his lethal trap, the terrifying waltz continued. Pichushkin, ever the puppeteer, skillfully directing the dreadful play. Society was left battered, bruised, both fascinated and repulsed, their minds invaded by the chilling echo of the predator's dance. Each square on a chessboard, each moment of play, became a surreal echo of the atrocities he committed. The game, for him, had transcended from being a mere recreational activity to a grotesque reflection of his heinous deeds. His actions in Bitzer Park were not hidden, but conducted with an eerie openness, as if he were taunting the world with his terrible secret. Those who met him perceived an ordinary man, friendly and engaging. Yet beneath the benign exterior roiled a monstrous obsession. His need to take lives, alluringly melded with the innocent black and white squares of a chessboard, turned him into one of the most notorious killers of his time. The grisly narrative of his life serves as a stark reminder of the horrifying depths that human nature can plunge into. In the stillness of night, he would stalk his victims, meticulously planning each move like the skilled chess player he was. A series of precise maneuvers would bring him closer to his prey, and with a final, calculated strike, the fate of yet another life would succumb to his insidious desires. The authorities were baffled, unable to predict the pattern hidden in a game that only he could decipher. He continued to elude capture, leaving a trail of terror and devastation in his wake. As the death toll mounted, panic gripped the city. The ordinary man with his beguiling smile had become their hidden nightmare. But all games have an end, and as the relentless pursuit of justice closed in, the mastermind behind the seemingly unstoppable killing spree ultimately found himself ensnared in the webs of his own design. The chilling echoes of his horrific actions continue to reverberate, as society grapples with the complex dark enigma of a man who cloaked his bloodlust in the unsuspecting tapestry of a chess game. Just as the final pin drops in the chronicles of a grandmaster chess game, so did the veil of trepidation lift as the facade of the man with the beguiling grin began to crumble. No matter how adeptly the game is played, the Queen's gambit cannot last forever. With doggedness, law enforcement had pushed back, meticulously unpicking the strategically placed threads that formed his intricate tapestry of malevolent deeds, until finally they held in their possession the face of the elusive Reaper who shattered the city's tranquility. The sense of relief from the city's denizens, however, remained temporary and unfulfilled. The questions dangling overhead, unsatisfied by the capture of the antagonist, were many and convoluted. Who was this man who seamlessly morphed into an agent of chaos and death, with no betrayal of his violent propensity in his disarming demeanor? How did such an unassuming person weave this destructive path through their community, and for what purpose did he choose to conduct this symphony of fear? Consequently, the city remained draped in an air of apprehension and morbid curiosity, even in the supposed victory of justice. The spirits of the departed, their lives snuffed out abruptly in this macabre drama, appear to hang in the air as phantom echoes, refusing to be silenced, while the revelations of an unwittingly unfolding horror story continue to haunt the collective conscience of society. The man who hid his vile hunger for power and control under the guise of an innocuous chess enthusiast has left indelible scars on the city's psyche, marring the idyllic veneer and etching a deeply troubling narrative into the fabric of the local law. As we delve deeper into the notorious crimes committed by Pichushkin, we will explore the chilling escalation and patterns in his actions, a disturbing trail of terror that has left an indelible mark on Russia's history. As we continue to dissect the heinous acts perpetrated by Pichushkin, we shall examine the twisted motives and tactics driving his appalling behavior, a cruel and monstrous rampage that has forever tainted the annals of Russia's past. Delving further into his dark psyche, we attempt to comprehend the motivations behind his unspeakable actions and the authorities' relentless pursuit to bring him to justice. As the web of horror unfolds, we see a nation grappling with the consequences of such unbridled cruelty, a ghastly reminder that the nadir of human depravity knows no bounds, and its scars will endure for generations to come. Indeed, as we navigate this labyrinth of malevolence, we put forth our utmost efforts to lay bare the depth of the atrocities committed by Pichushkin. His tenacious depravity and ruthless malefaction showcase an alarming milieu that occupies a dark, terrible corner of Russia's history. We strive to dissect this deeply disturbed conscience, to shed light on his characteristics that drove the monstrous odyssey of ruthlessness, forever leaving a blemish on the fabric of humanity. Admittedly, it is this panoramic view of morbid ruthlessness that allows us to crystallize our understanding of the wickedness pulsating within Pichushkin's being. It is indeed a testing journey, bringing into focus the authorities' ceaseless and fervent endeavors to quell the reign of terror he had spread. Each step of this journey reveals a saga of merciless pathology that has shaken the foundation of a nation, leaving it wrestling with the aftermath of this unprecedented cruelty. So, as the chronicle of this horror continues to take shape, it unnervingly casts the spotlight on the depths to which human decadence can stoop, casting a chilling shadow across time. A harrowing reminder of this nadir of human malevolence, the tale also underscores the resilience of a nation faced with such devastating cruelty that has left indelible scars across its course, scarring the collective conscience of generations yet unborn. Pichushkin's reign of terror didn't go on forever. The final chapter of this horrifying saga encompasses his capture, trial, and subsequent life sentence, quenching his thirst for violence once and for all. The chilling narrative of Pichushkin unfolds further as the unfathomable extent of his malevolent nature becomes known. Following his apprehension, an unsettling amount of evidence surfaced, exposing his gruesome actions to the public eye. The irrefutable proof whipped up a tempest in the legal arena, leading to an intensive trial that riveted the nation. The legal proceedings painted a chilling picture of his bloodthirsty exploits, sending waves of horror through the courtroom with every revealing testimony. Engulfed by a tempest of condemnation and revulsion, Pichushkin was ultimately handed down a life sentence, effectively cutting short his reign of terror. This verdict marked the end of his gruesome saga and brought a sigh of relief to a petrified nation. Silence fell over the courtroom as the weight of his crimes sunk in, signaling the end of the blood-curdling chapter. The life sentence was a fitting testament to his inhumane pursuits, extinguishing his propensity for savagery and restoring public faith in the cornerstone of justice. The aftermath of the trial was marked by a palpable sense of relief that swept over the community. Pichushkin's reign of terror had finally been curbed, putting an end to the long and trying period of fear. With the book of horror closed and the villain locked behind bars, life slowly went back to a semblance of normality. The populace could finally breathe a sigh of relief, free from the spectre of Pichushkin that had overshadowed their lives for so long. As the oppressive cloud of dread dissipated, the community was slowly reclaimed by the rhythm of daily life. The park, once a place of unspeakable horror under Pichushkin's reign, began to buzz with activity again. Children's laughter echoed through the air, and the elderly resumed their evening walks, the memory of the beast that had once lurked among them fading with each passing day. The people began to trust their neighbors again, regaining the sense of community that Pichushkin's reign had almost destroyed entirely. Conversations in the marketplaces and on the streets shifted from whispered suspicions and hushed rumors to mundane topics. Hope began to replace the fear that had settled into the hearts of the community like an unwelcome guest. It was as if the entire community had awoken from a drawn-out nightmare, cautiously taking in the peace that they had been robbed of for so long. The shared trauma of living under the shadow of Pichushkin, however, marked them all, reminding them of their resilience as a community and their shared victory in putting the ordeal behind them. The community was not just surviving, they were thriving, free from the spectre of their collective past. And as we wrap up, we will ponder on the psychological analysis of Pichushkin and his motivations, reflecting on the societal impact this man and his horrifying acts had on Russian society. With that, let's take the first step into the grim past of Alexander Pichushkin. We thank you, dear listeners, for joining us on this journey into understanding the darkness that humans are capable of. As we delve deeper into the twisted psyche of Alexander Pichushkin, we invite you, our valued listeners, to brace yourselves for the shocking revelations that await. Together, we will explore the motivations and impulses that led this seemingly ordinary man to commit such heinous acts. Join us in unraveling the twisted maze of his chilling story as we shed light on the darkest corners of the human mind. As we continue this harrowing journey into Pichushkin's tortuous mindset, we urge you, our esteemed audience, to steel yourselves for the spine-chilling truths yet to unfold. In unity, we shall probe into the factors and urges that transformed a seemingly commonplace individual into a perpetrator of monstrous deeds. Accompany us in disentangling the tangled web of his terrifying tale, exposing the hidden recesses of the human psyche that most fear to acknowledge. In this daunting trek into abyss, we will strive to comprehend the unimaginable complexities of Pichushkin's mind, the charisma that masked the malevolent intent, the paradox of humanity that bore the capacity for such terrifying savagery. Together, let our quest serve as a torch, illuminating the gruesome enigma that is Pichushkin and casting light upon the unknown depths of the human psyche. Continuing onward through the murky corridors of Pichushkin's mind, the journey dares us, our respected audience, to brace yourself for the unsettling realities that are still waiting to surface. United, we delve into the motivations and impulses that warped what appeared to be an ordinary man into an executor of horrid acts. Join us in unweaving the knotted narrative of his frightful story, unearthing the concealed corners of your own mind that many quiver at the thought of recognizing. In this formidable journey into the deep unknown, we endeavor to understand the unfathomable intricacies of Pichushkin's cunning persona, the charm that veiled the evil intention, the irony of our species that harbored the capacity for such chilling brutality. Collectively, let our expedition serve as a beacon, shedding light onto the ominous mystery that is Pichushkin, while also illuminating the undiscovered caverns of the human mentality. On today's episode of the Portrait of a Nightmare series from the Criminal Russia podcast, host Alex delves into the sinister tale of infamous Russian serial killer Alexander Pichushkin, known as the Chessboard Killer. Through various case discussions revolving around themes of violence and crime, the series aims to shine a light on the darkest recesses of human behavior. Pichushkin, born on April 9, 1974, in Mytishchi, a suburb of Moscow, appeared to have an ordinary childhood. However, his seemingly normal adolescence soon began revealing indications of a dormant malevolence. Excelling in chess and academics, Pichushkin's fascination with violence spiked alarmingly, premises of which were clear in his cruel treatment of animals and people. The death of his beloved grandfather appears to be a key turning point in Pichushkin's life, replacing his initial empathy with a burning desire for revenge against humanity. This transformation witnessed Pichushkin evolve from an average individual into a cold-blooded serial killer, leaving a trail of terror in his wake. He got his moniker the Chessboard Killer due to his chilling ambition of matching his number of victims with the squares on a chessboard. Famous for his crimes in Bitsa Park, Pichushkin's actions horrified and intrigued the society equally. Luring his victims with friendly words, he followed through with his violent endeavors, proving that behind the most ordinary facades might lurk unimaginable monstrosities. Pichushkin's story serves to remind us of the hidden villains within ordinary beings and the potential repercussions when personal voids turn into harrowing criminal drives. His path, marked by a horrifying loss of humanity, demonstrates the fragile boundaries separating man and monster. In the end, Pichushkin's tale is a chilling narrative of how an ordinary boy became a monstrous serial killer. His life story exemplifies the drastic lengths a person can go due to personal sadness, thereby signifying the tenuous boundaries separating humans from their monstrous tendencies. The story revolves around the terrifying actions of Pichushkin, a man who, despite his calm demeanor, was capable of horrific acts. His grotesque narrative held the masses captive with a mix of terror and anticipation. His actions were not concealed, they were executed with an eerie openness that left society in constant paranoia. This ordinary man, friendly on the outside, was a notorious killer with a monstrous obsession. The gruesome narrative of his life is a stark reminder of the depths human nature can plunge into. His actions at Bitzer Park had become akin to a chess game, with each victim a calculated move in his lethal trap. His meticulous planning and an elusive pattern in this game of murder kept the authorities baffled for a long time. As his infamous reign continued, panic mounted in the city. However, every game ends and Pichushkin found himself caught in the web of his own design. His capture, trial and subsequent imprisonment marked the end of his frightful spree. The echoes of his horrific actions still remain, leaving society grappling with the reality of a man who cloaked his bloodlust in an unsuspecting chess game. The horrifying saga of Pichushkin serves as a chilling insight into human depravity, leaving lasting scars on Russian society. As future discussions further dissect his dark motives and the twisted tactics that drove his appalling behavior, they aim to comprehend the complex psyche behind his unspeakable crimes and the relentless pursuit by the authorities to bring him to justice.